You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Team Johnson.
From Los Angeles, California, and Maria Menounos, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On. Spotlight On is a long-form interview series featuring actors and TV personalities. And now, from the world's #1 TV after-show platform, this is AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On.
Hello, AfterBuzzers! My name is Kylie Hodges, and I am thrilled to bring to you today a very special presentation of AfterBuzz TV presents Spotlight On. We all know him at home as the king of parodies, but today he has the #1 album on the Billboard charts. I'd like to give a very warm welcome to Weird Al Yankovic.
Hey, how are you?
Great!
Yay!
We get applause.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Now, do you go by, you said you go by Al or Weird Al, Mr. Yankovic?
You can call me Frank.
Frank?
Or Bob.
That's
Let's
you?
go with Al today.
Al?
Yes.
I'm okay with Al.
Okay, let's do that.
So, like I just said, you just found out today that your album, Mandatory Fun, is the #1 album on the Billboard charts. Congrats.
Thank you so much. It's such an amazing thing. You know, this is something that I never imagined would ever happen. I mean, you know, I thought that it was a really good album, and I was very proud of it, and I thought it was the best thing I'd ever done. But #1 is something that was just beyond, you know, the realm of possibility, or at least I thought so. I mean, you know, the last time there was a comedy album at the top of the Billboard charts was 1963. You know, it was like over half a century ago. So I just thought that, like, you know, comedy albums just don't ever, like, hit the top of the charts. That's just not going to happen.
Well, look at you, just paving the way.
Look, a historical day,
yes,
you know?
yes. Put it in the books. When you wrote this album, did you think it was going to have this big of an impact?
Well, not quite this big. Like I said, I mean, you know, I was very proud of it, and I thought this is probably my last conventional album, and I wanted to go out with a bang and really, you know, do my best work. But you know, the outpouring of goodwill and support and love from fans this last week, it's really kind of been overwhelming. I mean, it's really been far beyond what I had expected.
Well, congratulations again. What is your favorite song on the album, and why?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, I know that the parodies are the fan favorites by and large, but my personal favorite is an original called Jackson Park Express, which is an original song. It closes the album. It's sort of an epic song, like 9 minutes plus. It's a song about a guy on a bus who sees a woman, and he basically creates an entire relationship, a lifelong relationship in his mind. So the whole bus ride, it just gets more weird and creepy. It's hard to describe,
sure.
but it's an epic song. It's got a lot of production value to it, and got to work with string sections and horn sections and background singers, and gave it that real kind of like singer-songwriter 1970s vibe.
And which was your favorite video to shoot of the 8 that you've released?
My favorite one to shoot was definitely Tacky, because I got to work with Jack Black and Kristen Schaal and Eric Stonestreet, Aisha Tyler, Margaret Cho, and we went to the Palace Theater in downtown LA and did this one continuous shot video. We had a Steadicam which followed me, you know, on the fire escape of the 5th floor of the building. Followed me through, and Aisha Tyler takes over, and then it goes to Margaret, and we go through the entire building, and we wind up on the street level back with me again in completely different clothes. Right. And it was just such a blast working with all those people. I mean, they're so funny and they're professional, and you know, we had a great time. I mean, it wasn't, you know, usually I'm like really focused, like, we got to get the shot and we only have so much time, and you know, make sure everything's right. But they were so good and so on it that I didn't have to worry about anybody, and everybody knew what they were doing, and we just were able to relax and have fun.
It shows. It's a really fun video.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you why that particular set of people in Tacky.
Well, they're my friends. I mean, you know, Pharrell used a bunch of his celebrity friends for Happy, and so I thought, well, I'll do the same thing. And I just kind of went through my address book, and I just picked a few names, the ones that I thought would, you know, that would work well for the video. Jack Black was the first call, because I figured, you know, Jack's going to just knock it out of the park. His energy is insane, and I knew that he wouldn't hold back. I mean, we did 6 takes of the video, and every single one, Jack was at least that energetic. I mean, he was just crazy energetic. Put everybody to shame. So he was the first one that we got locked in, and everybody else was basically just whoever could do it on the day that Jack was available. Because he had one day, he was in Atlanta shooting a movie. He was able to fly into LA for one day to shoot it.
Oh, wow.
So I had a lot of friends actually that wanted to be in the video, but they weren't able to do it on that exact day. So
wow.
I have a lot of very funny and very cool friends.
It's nice to have an address book of those people available to make a video like that.
It is. You know, you hang around long enough and you acquire a lot of cool friends.
Did Jack teach you any of his dance moves? Because he can move.
Yeah, well, I've been he kind of gave me a master class in twerking. I just studying his moves. I feel now that, you know, I don't think I'll ever be as good as Jack, because he's quite good. But I'm slowly learning from studying the tape over and over.
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I would probably Google that if there was a video.
Yeah, you should. You probably should.
I wanted to ask you about some of the other videos. There's a lot of animation. Why did you choose to do all the different types of animation that you did?
I just wanted to mix it up and not do all one kind of video. I know that my fans prefer live action, so we were focusing more on the live action videos this time around. But there's some like the Word Crimes video. It's a song about grammar and about words, and I thought, well, this is a perfect video for kinetic typography, which is the kind of video where it's basically words on a screen, but treated in a way that's very creative and artistic. And I looked around the internet for the best kinetic typography animators, and I found Jarrett Heather. And you know, I've been studying this for a long time and looking online for examples, and he did a video called Shop Vac for Jonathan Colton a couple of years ago, and I thought that was one of the best kinetic typography videos I'd seen. I liked his comedic timing, his sensibility was right on, and that's not the kind of thing you can really teach somebody. I mean, you kind of either have it or you don't, and I could really tell from watching the video, like, okay, he knows what funny is. He knows how to make something funny. And that was really important to me. So he had that, and he was a great graphic artist, and he obviously knew his way around After Effects and everything else. So I emailed him sort of out of the blue, and he was very excited. He jumped at the chance, and he told me he spent 500 hours working on that video, and it really shows.
Wow.
I mean, obviously a labor of love.
Wow. That's a lot of time. And it's a great video. They're all great videos, and they all represent the song very well.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do 8 days of videos and not 12? Because I believe there's 12 tracks on the album, correct?
There are.
Yeah.
That's just the way it worked out. Sure. Originally, I was just going to do 7 because I figured, like, I'll do one for every day of release week, like, you know, 7 videos, 7 days. And I forget how it became 8, but I wound up with an extra video, and I thought, okay, 8 days. We'll do 8 videos in 8 days. So it became sort of like the Hanukkah for comedy nerds.
It starts the second week off correctly.
Right.
So you have songs like Tacky and Lame Claim to Fame, Word Crimes, First World Problems. I feel like all of these videos they're pet peeves, or they could hint at being pet peeves.
They could be.
Are these your pet peeves in real life?
Well, some of them, yes. I mean, you know, Word Crimes, I definitely have some pet peeves about grammar. And again, I have to say that I'm playing a character in these songs, so I don't get as upset about bad grammar as the guy in the song.
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't be so upset with somebody over a misplaced apostrophe that I'd call them a mouth breather or a moron. I would just kind of like go, yeah, you might want to fix that. And, you know, to Tacky, you know, for a guy that's worn Hawaiian shirts for 30 years, I can't really accuse people of being too tacky. Certainly, people acting tacky, I could take exception to. But you know, I actually enjoy dressing tacky. I mean, I wore Crocs for a year. You know, I have no shame about like some of my sartorial choices. I mean, you know, it's fun, and I don't, you know, I don't think less of anybody that you know, isn't stylishly dressed. But acting tackily is a different thing. Sure.
What is your favorite video that you've shot in all time in your entire career?
Oh boy, it's tough. I mean, I'm probably still closest to White and Nerdy just because that's maybe my most autobiographical. It was my biggest hit single to date, and my only platinum single and my only top 10 single. And like I said, I drew from a lot of personal experience. And I got to work with a lot of cool people. Key and Peele are in that video, which people are just discovering now. It's like, hey, Key and Peele's in your video. And of course,
I know that.
Yeah, Seth Green and Judy Tenuta and some more. You know, I use my friends. I you know, get that address book comes in handy.
That's fantastic. It's nice to see when people are in the industry and they use, you know, they use each other's talents. It just makes for better videos. You covered with First World Problems. It's based on Pixies music, correct?
Yeah, it's not a parody per se. It's, I like to call it a style parody or a pastiche. It's meant to sound like them, but it's not an exact copy of one of their songs.
And I believe I heard in an interview that you're a big fan of them and you've performed with them before, right?
That's true, yeah.
Tell me about that.
I've always been a big fan of Pixies, and I got a call out of the blue to perform with them for a benefit concert that they were doing in Los Angeles a couple years ago. And I was thrilled, of course. And they said, well, would you like to do a parody of one of our songs? We'd be totally up for that. And I said, well, actually, I'd just prefer to, like, you know, sing a straight cover version with you guys. And they said, yeah, that sounds fine. And so they suggested I Bleed from their Doolittle album, which I loved. And I had a great time. I mean, it was... that was definitely one of the high points of my life, just to be on stage with a band that I love so much, like the Pixies, and just, you know, just rocking out with them.
It sounds surreal. I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about your career from the start. So walk me through how you ended up with an accordion in your hands as a child and how polka became a part of your life.
Well, I was very young, probably about 6 years old. In fact, I think my first accordion lesson was the day before my 7th birthday. And my parents decided that I should take accordion lessons due to a door-to-door salesman coming around. I know in this day and age it seems like, you know, somebody like that would be shot, probably. But back when I was a kid, it was like, oh, yeah, door-to-door salesman.
An accordion salesman?
Well, here's the thing. He was offering music lessons, and he was giving people the choice. You can give your child guitar lessons or accordion lessons.
Okay.
And of course, my parents, being the forward-thinking people they were, they thought, well, if young Alfred would love accordion lessons, who wouldn't want to play the accordion? Be the life of any party? A one-man band? A chick magnet? Come on.
I mean, look at you now.
I
you just
know.
got to thank them for it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, and I found out when I was, you know, going to junior high and high school and trying to get into my friends' rock bands that they just, you know, they, for whatever reason, didn't feel like they needed an accordion player in their band. And that's when I learned that if I wanted to really do something in music, I'd have to find my own path.
When did you realize that you were funny?
It was probably about a week and a half ago. You know, before that, I always had my doubts. And now I feel like, yeah, I guess I am kind of funny.
Now that you have a hit album,
yeah, it
might
took a while.
It.
It took for me to build up to it, but I think so. I'm going to say I am now.
Correct me if you're wrong, but you...
I am wrong.
Oh, excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, I will.
You're right. You're probably right, because this is all about you. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
You majored in architecture in college, correct?
You are correct.
Oh, thank God. Okay, why?
You know, I had a guidance counselor when I was 12 years old that was trying to, like, you know, mold all of his students into trying to figure out what they were going to be doing with the rest of their life. And he said, well, what do you want to do, young Alfred? And I said, well, you know, I love Mad Magazine. Maybe I could be a writer for Mad Magazine. And he said, yeah, no, I don't think you have a future in comedy. Let's see, what else could you do? Well, you're good at math and you like drafting. Why don't you be an architect? And I said, okay.
That sounds cool.
Sounds cool. So I said, all right. And then I went to college and got my degree in architecture. But I kind of had the epiphany about 3 years into college that it wasn't my passion. It wasn't what I really wanted to be doing with my life. So, you know, I still graduated and got my degree, but as soon as I got out of college, I immediately, you know, started banging on doors and trying to get a record deal and doing everything I could to try to kickstart the Weird Al thing.
The Weird Al thing became a thing in college, right? I believe you recorded Baloney in a bathroom?
My first single was actually recorded in the bathroom across the hall from my college campus radio station. And that's where I first took on the name Weird Al, because I was a disc jockey in college doing the Weird Al Show every Saturday night. So I was a teenager. I couldn't afford a real recording studio, so I just recorded in the bathroom because of the nice acoustically perfect tiled walls, and that nice warm reverb, you know. And it was, you know, obviously a very primitive, amateurish tape, but I sent it to Dr. Demento, the radio DJ, and he played it on his nationally syndicated show. And it kind of became a big hit, I mean, at least on the Dr. Demento show. Right. But it was a big enough hit that the Knack, who it was parodying, they found out about it. And a few months later, when the Knack came to my college to perform, I met the guys, and they said, "Oh, you're the My Bologna guy." Yeah. And they turned to the executive to the right and said, "You should put this guy's song out on Capitol Records." And the guy was like the vice president of Capitol Records, who happened to be at my college. And he looked at me and said, all right, we'll put it out.
Oh, wow.
So I was 19 years old, and I had a single on Capitol Records.
Wow, talk about the right place at the right time.
I kind of, you know, I don't know if you've read the book Outliers, the Malcolm Gladwell thing, but that's happened my whole life. Like, I keep finding myself in the right place at the right time, which is important. Yes. It's synchronicity or luck or whatever you want to call it. But, I mean, like, you know, I started out at the same time as MTV, and I got a lot of lucky breaks that way. I mean, my early videos were horrible, but MTV just needed the videos, so they would play pretty much anything.
Wow. When did it click in your head to incorporate comedy and music?
That's just something I'd always done. You know, I'd always changed the words around to songs on the radio to amuse my friends. I'd you know, written funny songs, you know, since I was a kid. You know, so they'd always been linked in my mind. So it wasn't something that was foreign to me or something that I thought when I was, you know, at a college, like, maybe I can put these two things together. They'd always been somehow linked for me. You have a record deal of 32 years, and it's coming to a close, or is it already done? Well, officially, it's over. As soon as I delivered this latest album, I had fulfilled my deal. And I should say that, you know, it has lasted 32 years, but it didn't say in the contract that this is a 32-year deal.
Okay, wanted to clarify that. Okay,
but so when I signed originally, it was a 10-album deal. Okay. Which even back, you know, that's pretty huge. Ridiculous to begin with. Yeah. And a few years later, we renegotiated the deal, and they tacked a couple more albums onto it. And then a few years later, renegotiated again, tacked a few more albums onto it. So it became a 14-album deal. And Mandatory Fun is album number 14. Wow. So, and it took 32 years. So now I've completed the deal. I've been, you know, talking a lot about it. I don't want to make up my mind and say absolutely what I'm going to do, but it's sure looking like this is the last conventional album. I want to, you know, release stuff independently and maybe just be a singles artist at this point, because I feel like that's the best way to compete, you know, nowadays, because, you know, I want to try to be current and fresh and topical, and it's hard to do that when you're waiting around for 12 songs to release all at once.
You know, it's really interesting to me how you have always been current. And like you said, you started with MTV. You had Al TV and you had the Weird Al Show, and those were great at the time because people were watching MTV. And now, like with this new album, you've been releasing videos on the internet because you get that people are watching YouTube more than they are TV. So when do you think that will you ever translate possibly the Weird Al Show or Al TV to a web series or anything more in the digital future?
I'm definitely open to that. In fact, a couple of years ago, I did a web series for Nerdist called Face to Face with Weird Al Yankovic, which was sort of like our version of Al TV, actually. You know, it wasn't exactly like Al TV because we weren't showing videos, but everybody's favorite part of Al TV was the bogus interviews that I do with celebrities, where I take, you know, stock footage and I intercut myself asking questions, and it's ridiculous. Right. So we did that, and it was, you know, I had fun, and we had a great time doing that series, and maybe I'll do that again. I mean, I love Nerdist, and they were super supportive and really great, so I'm certainly open to that. But to speak what you said before, I mean, you know, for me at least, the internet really is the new MTV. I mean, I'm certainly not thinking about MTV. They're certainly not thinking about me. All the marketing for this album was really based on the internet. It's like the viral nature of it, and the online community, and just you know, making that work.
It's the 25th anniversary of UHF this week. So a lot of milestones this week. #1 album, Anniversary. Would we ever expect something more with UHF, possibly a sequel or anything to come from that?
There's something happening with UHF, which I'm not at liberty to talk about,
Okay.
but it is not a sequel.
Okay.
I don't hate to crush your dreams and hopes. And I get asked that a lot, and it's very sweet. But I would love to do another movie. I would dearly love to do a movie, but and I could even perhaps with the same kind of sensibility that I had for UHF. But I don't think that I would want to go back to that well and try to do a sequel to UHF. But again, something that would be, have the same sense of humor would be a terrific project to take on.
Do you believe that other musicians are going to be moving in the same direction as you by releasing only singles instead of albums?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make sense for everybody. I mean, the album format, I think, is still valid for a lot of people. It just doesn't make sense for me so much anymore because, again, a lot of my appeal is based on being topical and timely, and which is difficult when you're doing albums. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I think we are moving a little bit more towards singles because people tend to be buying tracks more than albums, or at least we seem to be moving in that direction. So I think it's a slow, evolution, and we're probably going to be going more in that direction. And maybe someday the album will be completely obsolete, but I think it's going to be around for a while longer.
Sure. If you could only be remembered for one song from your entire career, which would it be and why?
Oh, my goodness.
You can think about it for a second.
That's tough. I don't know. I suppose White Nerdy for the reasons I talked about before. I mean, it's sort of like, it's closely associated with me, and it's there's a lot of me in that song.
Sounds like that one's closer to your heart than the others.
I suppose so.
It represents you.
Yeah, represent.
In a sense.
Yes.
Please do that again at some point during this.
I'll do it again. I'm doing it right now. Instant request.
Are there any artists that you wouldn't parody? Do you feel like somebody's hands off?
No, not at all. I mean, I think that there's no person or band that's so sacred that they're beyond being parodied, especially my parodies. I mean, a lot of people that do parodies, they go for the jugular and they try to, cut somebody off of the kneecaps. And my parodies are always done in a spirit of fun. I mean, they're, I'm not trying to make the artist look bad. It's meant to be an homage. Even stuff like Smells Like Nirvana, where I'm sort of poking fun at their image and things like that. It's all in good fun. I mean, in fact, Kurt Cobain loved it and said that he didn't realize he'd made it until he saw the Weird Al parody. So that might be the reason why I've been able to hang around in this business for as long as I have, is because I tend not to burn bridges. I always try to seek out the blessing of the artist and make sure that they respect what I'm doing.
How open are you to other artists suggesting for you to make a parody?
Well, I come up with my own ideas, so I'm not I'm not looking for ideas from other people. It's always flattering when an artist will say, "When are you going to do one of my songs?"
Do you get that a lot?
Not a lot, but every now and then somebody will say that, and I don't know if they're just being nice or making conversation, but it's always nice to hear.
Are you ever nervous that when you do parody an artist, they're not going to like it?
I don't have a lot of apprehension about that. I mean, I certainly always hope they're going to like it and they're going to approve it, and you never really know. But I've got a pretty good track record. I mean, I don't think, I've had some static with some managers and some record companies in the last few years, but I don't think we've gotten turned down by an artist like in a couple of decades. I mean, artists tend to get the joke, and they realize what I'm doing, and they're flattered by it.
They must be in your address book as your friends. So
well, there you go.
You're likable. Who would play Weird Al Yankovic in a movie?
I'm going with Antonio Banderas.
Wow, you answered that very quickly. I thought you would need a second. Why Antonio Banderas?
Because I think he could get my accent down pretty well.
Sure. That's very funny. Can we talk about Harvey the Wonder Hamster?
Sure.
Is he still with us?
Let's say he is.
Okay, I'm going to assume he's as immortal as Punxsutawney Phil.
Yes, Harvey lives forever.
Will we ever?
In our hearts.
Will we ever see an appearance of him again?
Well, you never know. Harvey is aching for the limelight, so he might be making an appearance again one of these days.
I heard you tell Larry King that you have offers for a Broadway musical in the works. What can you tell me about that?
Very little. That's one of those things like people are like, so what are you working on, Al?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot that I can say that's confirmed. That's the thing. It's like, and it's tempting to talk about things that are in development, things in the works, things that are being pitched. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But you know, I'm working with some friends on possibly putting together a musical. I can't really say much more than that. I mean, I'm sort of sworn to secrecy, but that's just an area that I've been interested in for a few years, and I've been given some opportunities, and we'll see what happens.
It's very exciting. I would go.
Well, thanks. Well, we got one ticket sold.
Yeah,
then.
You got one ticket sale, so that should cover
We need like 3 or 4 more, and then we got a hit.
So now that you have another #1 album.
Well, it's my first one. Did I have one before? I got to change the press release.
You're telling me.
I think it's my first one.
Okay, good.
But if not, that's awesome.
Let's just say they're all are they #1 in your heart?
They're #1 in my heart,
there
absolutely.
We go. When can we expect another tour from you? Or like a greatest hits album again or something
well,
like that?
I don't think there's going to be another greatest hits album, but that's totally up to the record label. I mean, at this point, I guess they're free to do whatever they want with my catalog because they own it. So maybe next week they'll put out an album called Weird Al Songs That Begin with the Letter R. You know, they can do that. But as far as the tour, I'll tell you, there's nothing going to be happening this year. Okay. I made the decision last year that this year we're going to be off the road, focusing on the album and the videos and all that, and you know, getting reacquainted with our families, all that kind of thing. But next year we'll be back on the road with a vengeance for the mandatory tour.
Oh, and exciting!
There's nothing confirmed yet, but we definitely will be on the road. And when the tour dates are announced, they'll be on WeirdAl.com.
Great. And again, you've got 1 ticket sold for that. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, should be covered.
Bring a friend.
Oh, okay. 2 tickets.
All right.
Thank you so much for sitting down to talk with me today. What a pleasure to have you here. This is Weird Al Yankovic.
Yay.
I can't believe I'm in the same room as him.
I can't believe this either. How'd this happen?
I don't know. I just walked in and we're both in here. Okay, so for everybody watching, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at Al Yankovic. I'm on Instagram at Alfred Yankovic. Everything else was taken. Mm-hmm. What else? Facebook is facebook.com/WeirdAl. YouTube is youtube.com/Al Yankovic. It's a little different everywhere. What else is there? And WeirdAl.com, of course. So, you know, I'm not hard to find. I'm around.
Google will probably help anybody looking for you.
Absolutely.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Kylie Hodges. Again, Weird Al, what a pleasure to have you here.
Well,
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And see you soon.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.